September is a very interesting story written by the famous writer William Somerset Maugham. In this story, he talks about the love and bond of humans and birds. Freedom is a basic right of every individual. No one should take it away from anybody for his own greed. Doing good always pays back in the manifold. The princess was a very good human being. Her essential goodness was reflected in her behavior with the bird. She believed in live and let live. In contrast to her, her sisters did evil and received the evil fate in return. This story is set in Thailand. There lived a king and his queen with many daughters. To make it easy to remember the names of his daughter, the king kept their names on months, and his youngest daughter was named September. The king gave away gifts on his birthday. Once he gave great parrots in a golden cage to all his daughters. The princes were found with the parrots and they taught them to talk. God save the king and pretty Polly were repeated by the parrots. One day, Princess September found her parrot laying dead in the cage. It was heart-rending to her. She kept on crying at the loss. Her maids of honor tried to comfort her but failed in their effort. So they went to the queen, who did not pay heed to her distress. The maid of honor was to go for a party, left the princess crying in bed with taking supper. Then they entered a little bird and hopped into her room. It started singing a beautiful song about the lake in the king's garden, willow trees, goldfish, etc. That made September forget all her sadness and hunger. The little bird offered herself in place of a pet parrot. Princess September was delighted to own such a melodious singing bird. The next morning, she wished her good morning when the maid of honor brought her breakfast. It was fed to him by the princess. Her singing impressed the audiences and the princess feels elated. She then took him to tour to her sisters and parents. Everyone was delighted by his performance. Queen did not like the parrot saying repeated lines, whereas the king admired the parrot saying, God save the king. It contented Pretty Polly, that discouraged the princess and their parrot. September enjoyed the song of the bird. That went on for a few days unless the other sisters poisoned the mind of Princess September. They said that she had to bear the death of her pet and they would arrange a parrot for her. But September replied that she did not need parrot anymore as she had a better bird. And they asked the whereabouts of the bird, to which Princess September replied that the bird flew off to meet his father-in-law. The princess tried to scare her that he may not come back because he was not caged, and their persistent nagging made her uncomfortable. Insecure, Princess September felt that something might happen to him, and she was worried that hawks or someone might have trapped his pretty bird. All she wanted was his safety. Then appeared the bird and started chirping in her ears, and she grew angry. The bird told her that she would not have replied as his father-in-law was giving a party. And he wanted to attend the party, but he knew that she would be worried, so he returned. September was not willing to take any chance further. She decided to cage him and she put him in the cage. The bird was shocked at the sudden reaction of her. The reason she gave was that the queen's cat might harm her. The bird agreed to it, but for once only. He wanted to sing after supper but could not continue as he did not feel like. The next morning, he wanted to be free. His desperation grew. He beat against the door and shouted, but all his efforts went in vain. Rather, 8 princes were delighted to see him in pain. On the request to set him free, September replied that she knew what's better for him. She wanted him to sing for her and offered him a piece of sugar. He could not sing inside the cage. He wanted to see the trees, the lake, and the willow trees all by himself. He was not willing to see through the cage. He gave up eating and singing. Then anxious princess turned to her sisters for their opinion. They called him obstinate and wanted her to conform to her stand. September agreed to their suggestion and felt the same way. She assumed that she might be accustomed to bars of the cage. The next morning she wished the bird but not got any answer. She was shocked to see that the bird was lying unmoved in the cage. She took him out of the cage and started crying. When her tears fell on him, he looked up. And he pleaded that he could not sing inside the cage, and if he could not sing, he would die. She freed him then and there. The bird promised that he would return to her. She sobbed and was feeling lonely. Her sisters mocked at her, but the bird returned to her and sang beautiful songs for her. And she kept her windows open to let him go or come whenever he felt like. Later on, Princess September grew beautiful and got married to the king of Cambodia and was carried on a white elephant, while her sisters were married to the counselors only, as they were not as beautiful as Princess September. This is the very short summary of Princess September. I hope you understood it completely. Thank you for watching.